80s movies, action, science fiction, John Hughes, and fantasy. It's episode 32. Hello guys, I'm John Boyce, the primary writer, owner, and host for Brainiac Trivia. Last week I hosted an 80s movie night at the Capitol Theater in downtown Lebanon. What follows are my favorite 10 questions in 10 minutes or less.
Number 10.
Starting with multiple choice, what 1980s fantasy film takes place on the planet Thra? That's T-H-R-A. The Never-Ending Story, Willow, or The Dark Crystal? What 1980s fantasy film takes place on the planet Thra? The Never-Ending Story, Willow, or The Dark Crystal? Still standing the test of time, The Dark Crystal takes place on Thra.
Number 9.
In the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, in what famous city did Indiana find the catacombs under the library? In the film Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, in what famous film did Indiana find the catacombs under the library? One of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, those catacombs were in Venice, Italy. Anybody else notice that Indiana, once he gets down into the catacombs, takes a bone from a skeleton, puts some cloth around it, and then dips it in the flammable liquid that he is standing in, and then lights it on fire. So he's walking around in flammable liquid carrying a flame.
Number 8.
In Gremlins, what kind of animal or creature is Gizmo? In Gremlins, what kind of animal or creature is Gizmo? Just don't get him wet. He's a Mogwai. Gizmo is a Mogwai.
Number 7.
What's the name of the fortune teller machine in the movie Big, starring Tom Hanks? Zoltar is the fortune teller machine in Big.
Number 6.
Okay, in the 1985 classic The Breakfast Club, one of everybody's favorites, what 2 things did Bender do to originally get in detention? Now, he did plenty of things to get more detention, but originally, why was he in there? In the 1985 classic movie The Breakfast Club, what 2 things did Bender do to originally get in detention? Well, that Bender, he's never one to be boring. He pulled a fire alarm. He was also fighting with students and teachers.
Number 5.
Into the top half. In the 1982 classic E.T., while trick-or-treating, who did E.T. see that he seemed to recognize? In the 82 classic E.T., while trick-or-treating, who did E.T. see that he seemed to recognize? Well, while he was a ghost walking around, E.T. saw Yoda, a group of Yodas actually, which now makes me wonder if there's a collective noun for Yoda, like Yodai? Yodas just doesn't seem cool enough.
Number 4.
All right, guys, for our final 4, they're all going to come from clues and clips. So this is the 2-parter where I give you a clue, then play the audio clip. Due to time constraints, I'm just going to read the clue and directly after that play the audio clip. So here we go. This late 1980s crime action marked the film debut of a very recognizable actor. After discovering a conspiracy, the ex-CIA main character takes matters into his own hands. The film is often regarded as the first American film to feature Aikido fight scenes.
I was born in Palermo, Sicily. Came to this country when I was 7. We immigrated to Chicago. We were always raised to be very patriotic, to love our country, and we did. When I was a little boy, my father took me to a baseball game. They had a martial arts demonstration out there, and I saw this little old Japanese man doing things that I thought were magical, and developed a crazy dream to go to the Far East. And by the time I was 17, I was there, studying with the masters.
From 1988, Above the Law, very well known as Nico Above the Law. Not gonna lie, not a fan.
Number 3.
Let's go top 3. This adult fantasy film was released in the early 80s and later had a sequel. Based on a comic of the same name, it opens with a space shuttle orbiting Earth. The film features a great deal of violence, sexuality, and nudity. The soundtrack featured lots of well-known bands like Cheap Trick, Black Sabbath, and Journey.
I wanted to find out where they'd taken Catherine, but none of these guys seem to speak English.
They tell me you are Den of Earth, the one who dared to steal the female sacrifice from the queen.
This guy was a shrimp, so I figured I'd play it tough.
Where is the girl?
I am Ard, supreme leader of the revolution and the next ruler of the world.
The girl!
Well, aren't we fierce? Guards, castrate him.
From 1981, heavy metal. So when I hosted this event at the Capitol and played that audio clip, I got quite the reaction inside the theater.
Number 2.
This sci-fi sequel was released in the mid-'80s and takes place 57 years after the original. Taking place primarily on a site of a terraforming colony, the film has received generally good reviews, which is rare for a sequel.
All right, listen up.
Morning, Marines. I'm sorry we didn't have time to brief you people before we left Gateway, but...
Sir.
What is it, Hicks?
Hudson, sir. He's Hicks.
What's the question?
Is this gonna be a stand-up fight, sir, or another bug hunt?
All we know is that there's still no contact with the colony, and that a xenomorph may be involved.
Excuse me, sir. A what?
A xenomorph.
Yeah, Xenomorph, of course. From 1986, Aliens. That's with an S. If you didn't have the S, it doesn't count.
Number 1.
Yes, and my favorite question from my 80s movie night from the Capitol Theater. This comedy drama was released in the late 1980s and saw two famous funny men in the lead roles, taking place primarily in Wisconsin. Of course, nothing seems to go right. It had a tagline that read, "This holiday's no picnic."
Come on in, I'm making you a sandwich.
Big, big, ooh, big.
Big? All right, we'll make a big one.
Big bear.
Big bear.
No, true, out there.
We're glad you're home, honey.
Big bear, chase. Big bear, chase.
What does he say?
What? Big bear, chase me.
Big Bear Chase Me from the Great Outdoors. That is from 1988, one of my all-time favorite 80s comedies. In case you didn't pick up on that, I actually found a way to slip in two John Candy movies there. He was also one of the voices in the heavy metal clip, which I thought was pretty funny. Hey guys, if you missed 80s movie trivia, fear not, we have 90s movie trivia for you on May 29th at the Capitol Movie Theater. Jurassic Park will be the film we'll watch on the big screen. Later on in the year on October 21st, Halloween movie trivia, where we'll watch Addams Family on the big screen. Disney movie trivia on November 11th, we'll watch The Lion King. And we'll close out the movie series this year with Christmas movie trivia on December 16th and watching, hands down, the best Christmas movie ever made, Christmas Vacation. That's just simply a fact. If you happen to catch this podcast after those dates, fear not. Always check our social media. Always planning lots of different events. You can also go over to brainiactrivia.com for more information. If you want to be a supporter of the podcast, just click on the link in the bio. Nothing is expected. Everything is appreciated. Of course, trivia is more fun in person. I host numerous weekly events for free. So if you're in the area, stop on by. We'd love for you to sit down and play a Brainiac game with us. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the podcast. I'm John Boyce, and this has been the Brainiac Trivia Top 10 in 10.